It's February the 22nd, 2017. Anytime you're ready, Dana. We are live streaming. Woo! It's incredibly difficult. I know I say that sometimes, to do anything like this, but what we do is over the top. It's over the top. But we managed to pull off. Today will be no different. Good morning to everybody. Welcome back, everybody. What a great stream for everybody today. Over the top. Just over the top. And we're not going to waste any time. Good morning to everybody. Yep, I got you in the comments section. A few seconds. Wondering there, was this actually going to stream this morning? Let's get busy with the show. Indeed. What does that mean? Just what I said. Let's get busy with the show. Now today, I think we're going to nail it. We're going to pop it right out of the friggin' ballpark today, buddy boy. It's going to be epic. Okay, Dana, take your word for it, but get friggin' started. Well, okay, hang on. So 30 million bags is a leak. But today, I think, we're going to really drive that point home in couple of hundred different ways. We're going to start that off by talking about the history of nuclear fallout and the mitigations throughout history. We'll infuse that with the current situations. And for that to work out, I got to back edit that. And that's okay. Such a great song. Oops. Don't click shit twice on my computer. Or my mess. Oh my. Never mind. Let's keep going. So we're going to get these little short clips. This is the intro. I had to fool around a little bit. Here we go. So they're going to talk about nuclear fallout from weapons. We're going to talk about nuclear fallout from Fukushima's reactors and 30 million bags.
A nuclear attack on this country, one of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout. While heat and blast effects of even the largest bombs would have a definite limit, any area could be threatened by fallout.
Okay, so that's the first depiction of fallout across North America from a bomb attack. So you can see most of North America got painted. I'll come back over and get the music going again, hopefully. Now we should be good to go from here on out. So this is BBC faking being inside of a reactor because they don't want to talk about the fallout. Now, when you see these connotations of this kind of destruction, that's real destruction, okay? There was 15 reactors in that area of the destruction like this, of the tsunami itself. Just went up to 10 kilometers inshore. And 15 reactors were affected. This is one of them. This is Unit 3. This is the mixed oxide plant into Daiichi. Daiichi is one. It's the number one plant. It's also, Daiichi means one. And this plant has 6 reactors at it. It has a sister plant called a Daini. It's 10 kilometers south of it on the same coastline.
The large number of weapons which probably would be dropped in a full-scale attack would produce fallout, ranging from light to intense, over much of the nation.
So from a nuclear attack, you would get fallout over much of the country. And Japan didn't have a proverbial nuclear attack, but they still had an incredible, inconceivable amount of radioactive fallout. We're talking 30 million one-ton bags, and we're talking about the water, a liter of it will kill you instantly. We're talking about a country that's devastated for 400 kilometers, and there was 14 reactors, not just Fukushima, because I got so much going on here. You'll excuse me if I stumble and mumble a scattered time. You'll understand by the end of the stream why that happened. So 30 million bags. Name something else where 4 buildings gave you 30 million bags. And you can't, of course, obviously, right? These places were ripped to shreds. There's no one going to dispute this outside of every nuclear pundit in the mainstream media.
Weapons exploded close to the Earth cause greatest fallout hazards. Thousands of tons of Earth particles are drawn upward into the ascending mushroom cloud, where radioactive products of the nuclear explosion contaminate them.
Okay, and so here was another depiction of nuclear fallout from a Russia attack upon North America. So it's very wide, it's all over the place, the models are different. And in Japan, it's the same scenarios. Pretend that's Japan for a moment, because it is essentially Japan, see? Now water, this radioactive material is solutable in the water. And the plants are very straightforward to understand, and that they're not invulnerable to this. And this was 400 kilometers of the coastline. And the Fukushima governor, who's now dead, had strongly demanded that TEPCO decommission, dismantle 10 reactors in particular, which are 10 of the 15 we're talking about, and because they are highly suspect in contaminating the countryside also. Now, you wouldn't have to wear this kind of equipment. You only got to wear it because we're talking about nuclear power plants. These bags are only meant to survive for a short period of time. There's 10,000 of these dumps. You're talking about an enormous amount of material, yeah? And the country was destroyed. And consider there's 14... In some reports, they report there's another one, but they report 14 plants. Yeah? And because those plants are, and that tsunami is all in that one area you're looking at. It extended past those areas, way past those areas, right around it. It even hit Hawaii and done damage in Hawaii, the tsunami. It wasn't isolated to a small section of the coastline.
These particles are carried by the high-altitude winds for many miles. Eventually, they settle to Earth, and this is called radioactive fallout.
Now, radioactive fallout is what you're looking at there, too. But it's also applicable for all these facilities because they hemorrhage into the community. You have to vent it all the time because of the gases, the noble gases are highly volatile and will detonate and you'll lose the sight. These will spill their load, they'll lose their sight in an earthquake, so they already been dumping it without telling anybody. It's all show and tell, yeah? The reactors are long gone. And 30 million one-ton bags is the proof of it.
We are all subjected to radiation from outer space.
Right. Which we're acclimated to through genetic superior selection.
and from radioactive material of the Earth's crust.
Right, and we're acclimated, like everything else on the planet, to that material. Not what they're doing there, but to that stuff they just talked about, the sun and solar system. That's normal. We all exist because we live in harmony with it.
We're exposed to it when the doctor x-rays us.
Now that's different. No, right? They just conflated these. This is man-made, and the other stuff is nature. Nature, everything is acclimated to it through genetic superior selection.
And on many other occasions, radiation in small or...
Yeah, how many? What, bananas, potato chips, walking in the sunshine? Better not say that to my face. You're going to lose a whole bunch of hair off your head.
Controlled amounts like that are not dangerous.
Shut your pie hole. Control amounts are dangerous. What you looking at there? So, like, all of these places are venting in your communities, in your rivers, in your lakes, in your estuaries, just to create it. This is in tons. A pound of it is enough to kill everything on the planet. These are all in tons, all over your country. It's the stupidest, idiotic, most time-consuming, money-consuming thing on the planet. It's going to consume the planet forever and ever and ever. For what? So we can boil a kettle. The homeless, the destitute, the victims of society. And there's the proof. 30 million one-ton bags. Here's some more proof. Oh, one tree. That's not real. This is an official picture of a destroyed reactor. So why are they lying about it? Why are they sending the homeless in there and consider the actual damage, the before and afters, into the right scenario? They go through the forest. Now, the thing about this radiation being spread all over your country, let me see. Not quite. Oh. Think about... I screwed that up, did I? Yeah, that's the way it works sometimes. It's not supposed to be doing that. I'm not supposed to be there. I told you it was going to be one of those days. You got to consider Fukushima the same as a meteor coming down and it's going to hit us. We got to treat it, instead of lying about it and pretending it's harmless and it's just a leak, pretending it's just a leak when you pick up 30 million bags and the Pacific Ocean is dying. Only thing on the shoreline right there is kelp weed. This is the most prolific algae in the Pacific. But there's not, you don't see any other algae there. You're not seeing any kind of life there on the beach at the low tide, are you? It's like that throughout the Pacific Rim nations now. Because it's not like that. But here we're going to get into the good stuff.
The amounts produced by nuclear explosions, radiation can make you seriously ill or even kill you.
And they're talking about the fallout, right? They're talking about the fallout. They're talking about this fallout. They're talking about that fallout. Think about it the same way as those stories. Like, why are you building a sarcophagus around a building? Why don't you just dismantle it and sell the parts for scrap? Because you can never get near it. Why are you using robots and homeless to do it? Because it's dangerous, so why did you build it? Oh, well, we didn't think it could happen, but you knew it could happen. Well, yeah, we knew it could happen, but you didn't think it could happen because you're a genius? Because you're the smartest person in the solar system? You got all those safety things there because you don't think it could happen? Moron. The country was ripped apart. 15 of the reactors currently shut down due to damage in April 2012 was another headline, right? Major headline. So So there's 15 reactors in these areas that were pummeled. They sent in the homeless, the destitute, and then they faked it by these people here faked it, saying they're inside of that building that don't exist. That's fake. The scum of the earth. Now these people are victims. These people are dead. Anybody this close to Unit 4 is most likely Photoshop, but anybody that close, well, that's probably real. But you would expect to see the degradation on the camera.
Radiation produced by nuclear weapons presents a revolutionary threat to our country. In an enemy attack, it could become a direct threat to us all.
Sorry. A little loud that time, I know. Let's change songs. Maybe that'll help me. There we go. I'll drop it down a bit. Let's keep going. I'll get off my rhythm if I'm not careful. So 30 million bags is a leak. Okay. All right. You're a waste of skin. You should have been suffocated when you were born. Dropped in a bucket and drowned it or something. Personally, if I had a time machine, that's what I'd be doing with you. I would have went back, got a doctor's degree, went to the hospital in your community. When you were being born, I would have accidentally dropped your head first into a bucket of shit and piss and let you drown. That's what you think, Tina. Fucking nuclear industry. Man, nothing's too good for those freaks. Dana the time traveler. Look at it. Are you picking up 30 million one-ton bags for assholes? Expert, chain reactions may have lasted over 7 months. Like it ever stopped. That's 2014. But the core was producing this radioactive sulfur. Top government official. The MOX fuel could be a neutron source. The world just opened Pandora's box and there's no lid to be found in the solar system. This is where the homeless and the destitute and the victims of society go to die. And it's not a fun death. Radiation poisoning is a brutal way to die. It's a heartless industry. Ernie knows he used to send people into 3 Mile Island for 3 minutes and brag about it. Killers. These people are killers, man. On a scale you ain't conceived, but they did. This is a buckyball. This is what we're talking about that time. The urinal peroxide buckyballs. This phenomenon. This bizarre phenomenon. Now, these are not solutable in water like the typical radioactive material. But these are the bowels of hell. They're created in this super hot environment where they're spraying the salt water on the reactor cores that are melted down. The salt water creates these balls. Too close to the freaking mic again. Salt water, what that does, the sulfur is what you're looking at. Now, the atoms will get inside that with the isotopes inside of it, and they become little nuclear engines. And they're not necessarily solutable in water. They're highly transportable, and they hang close to the ground. This is 2 million times worse than any current reactor on the planet. The buckyball-like particles composed of cesium, iron, zinc, blah, blah, blah. Insoluble and impact on the human health needs to be examined. Well, we know what they do. They're little nuclear engines. They last for a lot longer. They're much more powerful. They're much more enhanced. It's like a trick in one sense, but they knew this in the 40s and 50s. I was aware that the salt water, the sulfur made detonations in the ocean much more dangerous. The fallout was much more dangerous over the ships and the islands. I gotta keep boogieing here. Tyson talks about the hydrogen, sulfur, and the buckyballs, talking with Joe Rogan. Not that they really But these things are created in an amount that is a planet killer, that is extraordinary for landmass, where they hang close to the ground, where children's like 2, 3, 4 feet. The peroxide formed by the seawater and the melted fuel, which is like 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, instantly vaporizes the water they sprayed down there for the first 40, 50 days, and creates these. This is what the sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyball basically looks like. This is important for the rest and the story we were talking about earlier about the fallout. It's an unprecedented phenomenon by using salt water to spray the reactors. They were pumping this stuff out of the reactor turbine buildings that were highly toxic and spraying it back on the reactors. They were so desperate. So they created this incredible mass, this plume, this invisible snowstorm, I said storm, that circulated the planet and continues to circulate the planet and is not solutable in water, which means we breathe it in. And this was a reason why they halted, because like you're in a rock and a hard place. You can't get fresh water because the country's torn apart.
Fortunately, there are means of protecting ourselves, means so effective that civil defense officials believe everyone can survive fallout if they take a few simple precautions to protect themselves.
Yeah, and you can't protect yourself. Think about the cooling systems at the Okinawa plant. July the 31st was confirmed, even though they say the flooding was not a problem. Are you kidding me? If you flood your home with salt water, you're going to think that's not a problem? Right? You rip up a country like this, and you think that the water from the tsunami that done all of that also went into that place there, but it's not a problem. No, that was just flooded the building. Okay, all right. We're still stuck with the fact that already we picked up a tiny fraction, which happens to be 30 million one-ton bags. 30 million one-ton bags. And then we send in the victims of society instead of the nuclear scientists. Don't call out the nuclear scientists in time of crisis. Unless it's to demonize North Korea or Iran, you got to have a boogeyman, see? The nuclear is a threat, period. Give them nuclear so you can demonize them forever and ever and ever. That was the game, yeah? And then come out and tell you that inside of that building, yeah, it looks like that. That's the official pictures. Both of those pictures are the official pictures.
The biggest danger from fallout is the fact that the particles do not have to touch you to endanger you. Their deadly rays can penetrate any kind of material, but the material through which they pass absorbs part of the radiation and reduces the hazard.
So each one of these little clips, we're getting into the real true story of how difficult it is to protect yourself from the radiation fallout. The fallout. Not from the imaginary building, but from the real building. The fallout is real because you picked up 30 million tons. Imagine if you got a contract to go out and fill up 30 million one-ton bags of just topsoil or gravel or rocks or whatever, and pay you a stupid amount of money to do it. You'd be pretty happy. You know, it's going to take you a long time to do that 30 million one-ton bags. You could probably hire a few people. You know what I mean? You got the contract, now you got to get busy. You got to pick up 30 million one-ton bags. Now translate that to radiation. You got to be careful. You got to wear all kinds of equipment. You got all kinds of restrictions. You got to wear giggity counters.
Your safety depends upon putting a sufficient mass between yourself and the fallout. Concrete, bricks, earth, or sand are the best. But in a pinch, any heavy material will do.
Okay, wait a second. They're going on to the Fukushima site with these little thin suits on, but now you're telling us through science and history that you got to make these thick walls. Oh, well, let's explore some more of that maybe. In a second coming up. So these people don't have thick material to protect them from the radioactive fallout that's emitting, do they? No. These buses can't protect you. You'll understand that in a few minutes. And these people, this is where the fuel rods landed. So it's no different being inside the buildings. These are dead. Anywhere on that site, you're going to die within a year or 2, 3 years at the most. This is, now you see that kind of a tint on the building? This is where they sprayed it with regions. It's not a degradation of the picture. It's, that green tint is from spraying regions to bond the fuel particles. So the reactor cores go straight up the center of the building. Do it look like the reactor core has gone straight up the center of the building? The fuel pools are up high in the building. Does it look like there's fuel pools up high in the building? Like, when you look at those questions, you realize how much trouble we're actually in and why I have to do what I'm doing every day that I can. It's impossible to do what I'm doing. I get that. No one to help me. No ability to hire somebody to help me. You can donate and help that someday. If I had 1,000 people doing $10 a month, I could do all of that and have a studio, have a super high-speed connection, and have a bunch of graphic material. I can buy all the equipment. 1,000 people, $10 a month. You can sign up below to PayPal, and you can do it with your credit cards. Links are below directly to those ways. We've been doing it for years. That's right, I don't care, because if I don't, I'll be starving to death again. Money just showed up yesterday after last week. Struggle.
Civil defense officials...
Now, this is the important part. Now we're getting to the meat and bone. We got you educated and up to speed. Yeah, we did so. Let's give you a little treat. Well, we got this far. Anybody got this far, we'll give you a little treat. Something. So let's get up with a graphic on the... some kind of whatever. Who knows? Like, the Earth is not just going to open up and everything can be thrown down there and get rid of it. That we can't do this with nuclear. See, that's the problem with nuclear. You can't just... I'm going to play that Minion one again. Graphics. Oink. I just wanted to hit the guy over in the right-hand side. That's Libby Halevi. I never get tired of that one. Let's keep going.
Civil defense officials recommend that everyone prepare a shelter. In most areas of the country, you would receive ample protection in a basement shelter constructed of 8-inch concrete walls. This provides the same shielding as 12 inches of earth, 16 inches of books, or 30 inches of wood.
Whoa, back that trolley up. Are you trying to tell me
Civil defense officials
that I need 8 inches to protect myself from the fallout? Wait a minute, those people don't got 8 inches of armor on. Those bags should be 8 inches thick to protect those workers? What the fuck? There's fallout there. These people should be wearing 8-inch thick outfits. They don't look protected, do they? Because that's how radioactive fallout works. See?
Civil defense officials recommend that everyone prepare a shelter. In most areas of the country, you would receive ample protection in a basement shelter constructed of 8-inch concrete walls. This provides the same shielding as 12 inches of earth, 16 inches of books,
and 30 inches of wood. 30 inches of wood to protect you from radioactive fallout. Right, this is what I've been telling you now for years, but today you happen to get them telling you. Maybe you believe me now. Huh? So anybody goes near this place, you're getting hit with different. This is not fallout. This is gamma shine, an alpha burst, neutron burst. This is X-rays. Cook you like a chicken. Like a chicken, I said. But you wouldn't be scared of it if this is what the media shows you, and they say, oh, don't worry about it. It's like that on the inside of the destroyed reactor that don't exist. Don't you know? Right by the ocean. There's no way it can make it into the ocean. Dana, it'll be freaking retarded. Okay, I'm sorry. Just saying. You know, I got a lot of evidence pointing in my favor. So the reactor core is 60 feet, 6 stories underground, 19 stories above ground, 190 feet above the ground. The towers under ground in reactor 3, part of that is up on top of reactor 3, pieces of it. So it blew up. And the reactor core goes up 100 feet. So I'm kind of leaning towards there's probably nothing left in reactor 3 or 4 that they gut it right down to the shore there. Look at it. If you're gullible, you're gullible. There's nothing you can change it. I get that. And you're not here watching my video if you're gullible. You watch my video, you're two types of people. One, you're a concerned citizen. Or two, you're a public relation firm. You're a concerned monster that your loved ones will find out you're a monster. So Fukushima, you can see these red dots are where all the reactors. The tsunami went right around all of this. This was 170 miles of land went whoop, down 8-10 feet. So you need 8-foot suits, 16-foot suits on to protect yourself from just the radioactive fallout. What are you going to need for the gamma shine and the alpha bursts and the neutrons and the X-rays? I don't know, but it...
To be certain of adequate protection, however, the shielding should be that equivalent of 3 feet of earth.
So 3 feet of earth? Well, these bags are 6 feet tall, and you got to put another 3 feet on top of that before you walk around on it. So these little paper suits are not looking so cute anymore, yeah? Imagine how big your helmet is if it's got to be 4 feet. That's why these cast weighs incredible amounts. Can't remember the tonnages of that one, but yeah. These people are lying, disgusting, despicable sacks of shit by nature. So if you're married to it, or if that's your loved ones, or friends, or families, watch your back. So when you see stuff like that, that destruction, that's 400 kilometers of the coastline where there was all kinds of nuclear power plants. Yeah, nuclear power plants got to be by the water. You need 1 million gallons a minute. These bags are not 8 feet thick, or a foot thick, or 2 foot thick. How come? Well, they put the radiation underwater normally, right, to stop it from emitting for a couple of decades.
Civil defense officials recommend that for the best fallout protection, your family have these 2 things: an approved fallout shelter and enough supplies to enable you to stay
Why do you need a fallout shelter, a Pacific one for, I wonder?
in it for a maximum of 2 weeks.
2 weeks? You smell each other for 2 weeks? You kidding me? Well, it's better sucking up that shit, trust me, because that'll come back and burn you in 10, 20, 30 years down the road. That'll kill you in increments over decades, up to 1,800 illnesses, diseases, autoimmune deficiencies. Come calling. Yeah, there's no damage there. Shut up, Al-Qaeda. What are you building all the tanks for? Because we like it, Dina. We're the nuclear industry, Dina. We like shit like that. We can do what we want. We're the nuclear industry. Because no one can come near us. We got terrorist laws to keep you away. Try to get a picture, we'll arrest you on terrorist laws. Yeah, you're not getting us easy.
Within that 2-week period, it is estimated that community resources will have been restored to give you some help. A short time later, assistance should
gone,
be available.
Man. No, their community resources not restored. They're all ran away. Government snatched everything, took off for their bunkers that you paid for. That's exactly what happened.
From the state and federal governments.
We'll let you know when they come out of their bunker in 100 years. The reactors in Japan, the cores were up high, see? Up to 20 reactor cores in the building. These people are dead. Might not die right away, but they're dying. They're going to have very, very premature, painful deaths. They're going to have melting organs if they stay there for more than a minute. Well, then I might not show up for a month some of the illnesses, but yeah, it won't be that long before you die. You can't survive. That's what happened in Hiroshima. Women up close were squatting down and excreting their uteruses because they melted. They fall over and die a horrible death over 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. It was horrific, yeah? They got 30 million bags, cuz.
Get started right away at protecting your family from fallout.
Yeah.
Plans for approved shelters are available from your civil defense officials.
Well, what's the sense of having anything anywhere when you got 30 million one-ton bags everywhere? 30 million is 5 rows of traffic. 5 rows of traffic right around the entire planet, bumper to bumper, in 1-ton trucks. You put a bag, each of these bags in a 1-ton truck. You got 5 rows of traffic around the planet. Now, each one of these bags is supposed to be 8 foot thick on the outside by the sound of what we're learning so far today. Let's keep them rolling. No, unless we're going to run out of time, I'll never get through the shit I got put there. I work too hard and I never get through the shit I put together, but I put all the best that I got up front so I get through that shit each day. Try to. I don't know if anything's the best because I got so much, you know? Now, we just need a couple of $1 billion for each of these buildings every year for 1 million years. We'll be fine. So when you see pictures like that, that's 400 kilometers of the coastline. So when you see headlines like that, don't be surprised because the country was ripped to pieces. And they're stealing all the homeless and the destitute and the people who don't know any better. The uneducated, the immigrants who don't speak the language and giving them day labor and sneaking them into Fukushima. These people will tell you the truth. When they drive by that, they can't ignore it. But they're told their whole existence, right, that is like a banana and a potato chip and sleeping next to somebody and walking in sunshine and climbing mountains, flying airplanes, it's everywhere, and it's good for you. Huh? Those connotations are vicious lies. These are vicious, soulless lies for 70 years by that industry. Osaka's way far away. 100 times normal? There's no normal, by the way, but their normal is, oh my God, stuff. And 100 times it's time to evacuate. It's not going to turn to sawdust in the morning. It doesn't look like that on the inside, no matter how many times they show it to you. It actually does not look like that.
Some of the shelters you can build yourself. The more elaborate models can be undertaken by a contractor. Let us look at 5
This is
shelters
for fallout.
developed by the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization, any one of which will provide good fallout protection for your family.
Yeah.
First, the basement concrete block shelter is specifically designed as a do-it-yourself project. The cost will vary according to your area, but should range between $150 and $200 for materials. It would provide all the protection needed in most areas.
From fallout, from this. So every home, before we move anybody back in there, needs a fallout shelter. So they can live there. Okanagan nuke plant owners to ensure safety measures for people living nearby May the 5th. Because they got sued, right?
You must be sure the shelter has the proper doorway, air vents, and ceiling beams capable of holding 2 layers of concrete blocks. Plans for this shelter can be incorporated easily into new home construction.
And so, if something like that happens, then everybody needs a fallout shelter. If something like that happens, we got to pick up 30 million bags to pretend that we had some mitigation. Just because the fact you picked up 30 million bags is the recognition you can never go back. You shouldn't have been there. Picking it up was the right thing to do, but it should be done by robotics. Scrape up the whole country by robotics. Go about it scientifically instead of taking Shanghai and not using academics, not using scientists, not using government employees. 100 miles from Fukushima, leak from spent fuel pools at 2 reactors April 8, 2011 after the 7.4 quake, and the cooling systems temporarily stopped. They were eluding. See? That's what those headlines, they're eluding. It's not like that. That's the official picture of in there. This is the official picture of in here. It looks like that because that came through their country. But it wasn't just Diachi. There was salt water found in all the reactors, the 15 of them along the coastline. Trying to stop the reactor from eroding. Okay.
It is a good practice to rotate canned foods at least once or twice a year.
Yeah, they should rotate the reactor.
Exchange those in unprotected paper boxes at least every 3 months. Don't forget foods for infants, elderly persons, diabetics, or others who might require a special diet.
Yeah? You don't got to do this for a coal plant. You don't got to do it for an oil plant. You don't got to do it for a water generation facility. You don't got to do it for anything on a nuclear power plant. If you got a nuclear power plant, then you just want to kiss your ass goodbye, because at some point something might happen, and everything you got, all the equity you got put in there, you got to leave it behind. And run. Just run. What way's the wind blowing? Don't care. Run. Why would you do that? Because a handful of people talk you into it, and your media lied to you for 70 years. That's the only way that happened. They lie every day, all day, nonstop. 400 kilometers of the coastline where all the other reactors are to them. I think they should just fucking fire it back up. Because if I didn't look at the pictures, I'd be like, why don't they just start the reactor back up? In fact, we actually covered headlines last year of one blog, major media, said, which was Tucker Carlson, his crew were saying they were going to start this reactor back up this year. Yeah? And I covered it, right? Done a whole show about it. Oh yeah, they're going to fire it back up, right? These guys, they bought shares in a nuclear mining company. They were trying to drive the stocks up so they can sell their shares. They got them for nothing. That's what the nuclear industry has been doing to you constantly now. Besides censoring the shit out of me because they're spineless, horrible monsters. They know it. It's just a matter of time now before their family know it too. Don't know what that picture is, to tell you the truth. Here's the spraying regions. This guy was exposed to, got a 10-sievert dose. The people that were doing this, one of them got 10 sievers, 5 will kill you, so they're long dead. Yeah, there's a fuel pool in the roof of it. right? Helen Calicat and Ernie Gunderson, Christopher Busby. Oh, yeah, sure, okay. So, like, all the people that were supposed to cover it because all the other ones are hid away, won't show themselves. But inside of that, anyway, it looks like that. So, if you don't think that's true, there's something wrong with you, you should take Prozac. You need a whole whack. Take a big handful. Doctor will agree with you. Bring that picture to the doctor. And I'll get myself out of it. So you can come back and take a screen capture if you're lucky. Or get someone to show you how to do it. Take a screen capture of that. A screen capture of that. I can make it bigger for you so you can get a better screen capture. There you go. You can come back to this video at this moment. And we're like 46 minutes into the video or something. Let's keep going. So anyway, like if you're stupid, naive, and gullible, and a bird brain, and not paying attention, or trust your media, even worse. The media is telling you inside of those. It's like that. Residents sue to seek complete suspension of the Genki reactors. And where are they? They're way north or south. Way south of Tokyo, which is way south of Fukushima. So who knows? Hey buddy, live streaming. Hey, live streaming. How you doing? Go ahead. I'll stop by on the way out. Yeah, I'll be heading out in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, see you in a bit. Yeah, check it out. It's my buddy. He's out there chainsaw carving. You'll find some of those carvings on my site. Some videos, short videos of him. Man, he's like crazy good now, all these years later. So he's up carving just up the road from me. I go up and get a few pictures. Wind down. Radiation up after leak at Japan nuclear plant not high enough to immediately impact the human health. No? Why'd you pick up 30 million bags? Trust me. The guys on top of it, the bags are supposed to be 4 feet thick on the outside, and they're supposed to be wearing 8-foot suits. Just saying. Just saying. That's a local call, so.
In all of these shelters, incidentally, you must be sure to use solid concrete blocks.
Now, this is to stop the radiation from the fallout from emitting through the material. Breathing it, eating it, sleeping with it, drinking it, washing our clothing with it. All the studies and all the animals, and this is 400 kilometers of the coastline, and they're a long way off from power being restored because it looks like that. So if you don't get power within a couple of hours, it starts melting down. You don't just chop that piece off and fire up the reactors. Game over for that city, for that community, for that country. That's what you're looking at with those headlines. That's what I'm reminding you of. These are victims of society. Oh, Dana, they're all dressed up in suits that don't protect you. If you're on the site, you're getting hit with gamma shine. And so just for radioactive fallout, you need something 4 to 8 feet thick to protect your loved ones. And their research way back then was honest research. The country got washed out. The reactors were no different. Detonated, caught fire, blew up. They built that thing there with remote control cranes to trick you, to deceive you, to manipulate you, to come out and then show you that and claim that it was inside of it. Right? That was the game, see? The comparisons are stunning. It's right on the ocean, right with everything else that got washed out and destroyed and smashed up. Pollution ran through the country. There's no end in sight for it.
The second recommended shelter is the above-ground double wall shelter. It is an outdoor, above-ground construction, which also may be built with concrete blocks. It is ideal for regions where water or rocks make it impractical to build underground.
This is for radioactive fallout. Now, the 30 million bags they picked up are not from this stuff. This is different. They picked these up in the communities to get people to move back in there. This is also contaminated. And you can't put that in the bag. No, they're going to burn that. And they are. They're grinding it up, trucking it all to prefectures and burning it in the incinerators, highly radioactive. March 21st, you lose power for a few hours, just 10 days later. And so the illusion never stopped. The game was played against you methodically through your media, through your universities, through your government, through your institutions, through the very people you're supposed to covet and trust. Everything is covered and saturated in radioactive fallout. But here's the radioactive repercussions for any kind of mitigation is endless dumps. They're going to take that now and burn that in incinerators at some point, and that'll liberate it back over the country too. But 400 kilometers...
The pre-shaped metal shelter made from pre-shaped corrugated metal sections or precast concrete can be constructed either underground or above ground. This shelter is also suitable for regions where rock or water are close to the surface.
The idea is to protect you from the fallout because it emits out so far. You need these thick buildings to protect you from the fallout till it settles down on the ground. A couple of weeks later, you can get out and get out of Dodge. But where are you going to go? Why would you do this to the planet? Do you really think that 30 million bags is all we're talking about? We're talking about the death of the Pacific.
Third,
you abandon entire communities besides the ones that are destroyed by the tsunami. That's all radiated. They should never be walking there. This is no human's land. I can say no man because hopefully we don't send women in there. As far as I know, it's only men going in there, but that's not necessarily true. The government is completely out of control. The country was wiped out, that 400 kilometers of the coastline. Radiation fell throughout the coast, but you got to build these shelters.
The underground concrete shelter can be built by a contractor for about $1,000 to $1,500, depending upon the type of entrance used.
This is to get away from radioactive fallout. You got to build these shelters. And no, it's okay, Dana. Just wash your hands when you go home.
Or with a hatchway entrance. The shelter can be built with a roof at ground level and mounded over with earth. Or it can be built below ground level or into an embankment.
Right, you recommend putting these big, thick layers of earth around it, underneath it, and over it all the time because it emits. Right, those isotopes inside the atoms are emitting. So when that's down into the ocean, and the ocean is saturated, it's the same thing. It's emitting. It's like a snowstorm that each snowflake is emitting out, say, 4 feet to 8 feet. Do you get what I'm talking about? Why we were looking at the death of the Pacific Ocean? Why I'm like I am? These are victims you're looking at the nuclear facility, spraying regions on highly radioactive material that detonated all over that spot. Like, this is the evidence we are monsters. This is evidence nuclear scientists are completely out of control, completely disingenuous, completely spineless.
Last, The concrete basement shelter is similar to the underground concrete shelter, except that it is designed as an added room to the basement.
Yeah, you need these big facilities to protect you from the fallout, from the emitters. 400 kilometers wiped out. Man, these people have suffered. But this is an abomination upon any dignity left to humanity. Like, it is our obligation, we're obligated to honor any Magna Cartas or Bill of Rights or constitutions or human doctrines, to fight with everything we got, fight with everything. And I know my accent, sometimes it's hard for some people.
In construction of any one of these shelters, 4 essential features must be completed. The first is a proper entrance. It must have at least one right-angle turn. Radiation travels in straight lines.
Right, and so they've spent an enormous amount of money working it out. 30 million bags. You got reactors throughout the coastline. It's like an apocalyptic nightmare as it is. It's heartbreaking. It's defeatist when you look at the scope and the enormity of it. But that's not who we are. We don't bow down.
The second necessity is ventilation. This is provided in a concrete block basement shelter by vents in the wall and the open entrance. A blower may be installed for added comfort. For the other shelters, vent pipes and a blower is essential for proper ventilation.
Okay, we'll quit it right there. Because when you're talking about 30 million one-ton bags, 30 million one-ton bags. Oh, let's screw that up. What do we got there? Oh, we got a cyborg from the future. That's right. I'm going to pop in and say hi to everybody today. So we want the future to come and solve all of our problems, is what I'm trying to say to you, right? Yeah. We want some magic to happen, and then we don't have to worry about it. We can go back to our comfortable zones. And I agree with you. Oh, goodness me. It's those pictures that bother me the most, because I know it's not Harvard. And I know it's not Yale. And I know it's not Berkeley, or Stanford, or Oxford, or MIT. So hugs for everybody this morning. Kind of bugged out yesterday. Hi, Shiner. Octava. Amthirst. Deb, which is Amthirst 3. Gabriel. CJ, Elaine, who never stops, never stopped, year after year, day after day. Like us, all of us, we go to battle as much as we can. Censor, Shani, we do the best we can. Albert, M, Show, W, hard to pronounce your name. Hi to everybody. Thank you, everybody out there on the internet paying attention, to anybody that was able to donate. Thank you. You have no idea of what it means and how humbling it is to see those donations when they do show up. And what that does for me, and does for everything I do, and it enables me to gut up and just commit to the next day, because I can only make it to the next day. That's all I can do. I wake up in the morning with a clean conscience, and I go for broke till the next day. That's how I work. That's how I roll. And I know that if I don't do that, then as far as I'm concerned, all is lost. I have to show up, and no matter what, You guys have made it possible. It couldn't have been done without you. History will show that clear. Hugs for everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, British Columbia, Canada time. Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. Live stream right here. See you then.